What's good? 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 What is good, everyone, and good evening. I promise I want to freestyle every time I hear that music, but I will not do that to you all tonight, especially not in front of India Arie. It is so good to be on with y'all. The chat is popping as always, and so awesome to see you. You are not late, Janet. Hey, Prattville, Alabama, Denise, Dr. Karen Johnson from Louisiana, Grand Rapids, Michigan is in the building. Carmela, hello. Hey, Helen from Washington, D.C., and so many folks who are joining in this evening. Omi, it's good to see you, and more. Can y'all hear us okay? Just say something in the chat if you can hear us okay. I want to make sure our sound is coming loud and through. Joy, can you hear us? Andrea, Adrian, Lisa, May, Alicia, and more. Wonderful. What is good? Listen, I have missed y'all since this last call. I promise you I have. We had an awesome time together last month. And when I tell you you are in for a treat this month, I promise you I am telling the truth. This is a really special edition of What's Good, in partnership with our friends at GoFundMe and featuring the absolutely amazing India Arie and some other very special guests that you're going to want to hear from. And we're gathered this evening. Some might think it's a tough topic, but honestly, I think we're gathered mostly to assemble around hope. Hope in the midst of a particular challenge that a lot of us have faced over the last few years or are facing right now for some of us. You know, since the beginning of the pandemic, we are more isolated than ever before. I am zooming in from my basement office where my wife has banished me because I like to pace around the house when I work upstairs. And I have been down here a lot over the last 3 years. You know, people are participating in community organizations less than ever before. They're going to church less. More and more social interaction is happening online rather than in person. And, you know, there's some good things about that. We can connect across space and time in forums like this. And, you know, we can leverage Zoom and FaceTime and more to connect. But, you know, sometimes when you need someone, when you're, you know, feeling a little down, or you want to share a laugh or a joke, you found a funny meme and you want to talk about it in person with someone, or you need a little advice through a tough time that you're going through, or maybe even a shoulder to cry on in a really tough time, more than ever before, folks have a hard time finding someone to turn to. And, you know, this is not just an isolated thing for specific people or specific communities. The United States Surgeon General has called this an epidemic of loneliness. But guess what? It doesn't have to be that way. And if you're experiencing loneliness in that feeling of loneliness, in that feeling itself, you're not alone. Tonight, we're going to learn from each other about how to break through loneliness and find community. And we've got some amazing experts who are going to share their thoughts. And the remarkable global icon, India Arie, will share as well, both her wisdom and her musical gifts. And there's a reason that we're gathered on this topic, and that really is squarely because of our friends at GoFundMe. They are doing amazing work, of course, as the world's leading crowdfunding and fundraising platform. They're also using that platform in some powerful ways. What they found is that people aren't just using GoFundMe to raise money. In the process of raising money, supporting causes, people are building relationships. They're connecting with one another. They're breaking out of silos. They're breaking through loneliness and finding community. And so we're so delighted that they've convened us here. And I'm delighted to welcome my friend, Margaret Richardson, to the call to greet you all. Margaret is the Chief Corporate Affairs Officer at GoFundMe. And with the amazing Amanda Brown-Learman, who you'll see in just a bit, and Jessica Nelson and more, they're driving so much of this work forward. And they wanted to convene us tonight. So Margaret, welcome to What's Good.
Thank you so much, Joshua, and good evening, everyone. On behalf of the entire GoFundMe team, it's my profound honor to welcome you to this evening of connection and inspiration. First, a heartfelt thank you to Joshua and the incredible team at Values Partnership for your leadership and partnership here. The legendary India Arie for all of your extraordinary work, inspiring so many of us. And to all of our expert panelists, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us tonight. Your insights are vital as we come together to combat loneliness and to build stronger community. As we conclude Mental Health Awareness Month, loneliness remains one of the most pressing challenges to our collective well-being. As Joshua mentioned, Surgeon General Vivek Murthy has poignantly reminded us that we can't take on these challenges alone. We need to be together and we need to be connected. This spirit drives our gathering tonight and the mission that GoFundMe champions globally every day. We aim to deepen people's connections to one another and to fortify the fabric of our communities. Every day, individuals launch GoFundMe campaigns to support their needs, hopes, and dreams. Their families, friends, and communities rally behind them with donations and words of encouragement. And oftentimes, they find strangers around the world to do so too. The impact of both the financial support and the moral encouragement can be transformational. GoFundMe imagines a world where everyone has what they need, a world where fundraisers, donors, and beneficiaries are all supported, and a world where in coming together, we are all more connected and more hopeful. This is how we combat loneliness and build resilient communities in these challenging times. We have an inspiring evening ahead of us, and we are thrilled you are here with us. Together, we will make this evening unforgettable, filled with hope and the promise of a brighter, more connected future. Thank you again to all of our amazing experts and participants for being a part of this, and thank you to each and every one of you for making time to be here. Let's commit to making a more connected world, one that can overcome loneliness and build resilient communities together.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Margaret, and thank you for all your work. Looks like you got a lot of fans in the chat too. Lacey Bousquet says hello. I know her, amazing human. A quote from Lacey and others on the line. And so thank you so much.
Happy. Thank you.
Well, listen, we're going to get into it in just a bit. And listen, this is going to be a phenomenal program. You're going to want to stay until the very end. India is going to bless us with her music, both in the beginning and with a closing song that you're not going to want to miss. We also have giveaways at the beginning and the end of the call. So make sure you hang out with us for the next few minutes across the entire call. Quick question in the chat as we get into this. I know we're all introducing ourselves and saying where we're from. Would love to also just hear from you if you're willing to share, no pressure at all. What loneliness and community looks like in your life, whether it's something that you've experienced recently and open to sharing sort of how that experience has been in the pandemic or more recently. How do these issues impact you? We actually asked in the same way that I just asked you all, we asked the folks around the country, our Gauge research arm asked that question, and we're going to get to that in just a bit. Before we get to that, though, you know what we do on this What's Good call, we highlight what's good in our communities. And so since we're having a bit of a different call tonight, we still wanted to capture some of that good news in a brief video. So check this out. Here's what's happening around the country.
Welcome to this special edition of What's Good. Let's dive into some inspiring stories making headlines in our communities. First, we celebrate a historic moment as the first Black astronaut candidate, now 90 years old, finally reach space on a Blue Origin flight, a dream realized after decades. In St. Paul, history was made with the swearing in of the first ever all-women city council. This diverse and dynamic group is set to bring fresh perspectives and address the needs of their community. Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing healthcare, from early cancer detection to improving patient outcomes. This innovative technology is saving lives and making health services more effective. And making history, April Barrett has become the first Black woman elected president of the SEIU, America's second largest union. Leading over 2 million members in healthcare, the public sector, and property management, April is set to advocate for their rights and well-being.
Also, we spoke with Dr. David Johns, CEO of the National Black Justice Coalition, about the March 4th Equity, which is taking place on June 15th, 2024.
The March for Equity is an anchor event and a week-long series of events that we are calling Equity Week. It builds on the legacy of Brother Bob Rustin, who is over my shoulder, and honors the opportunity that we all have to let everybody know that if we're going to be outside, we can be outside demanding equity. And so you can visit nbjc.org to find ways that we are connecting to the theme of building community. And so on June 12th, we start with Out of the Hill, which is an advocacy summit for anyone interested in a White House Advocacy Day, lobbying on the Hill, or learning about how to get more involved in politics. That's a space for you. On June 13th, we're hosting a Rights and History Expo at Howard University, where you can register to vote. You can get free HIV testing. You can learn about the resources from community-based organizations operating throughout the DMV. You can also take a dance workshop and learn more about the history of ballroom culture, or take a dance class from Anthony Burrell, who's an Alvin Ailey trained, internationally known choreographer. Then on Friday, the 14th, you can join us at Howard Theater for a ball that is produced by some legends, including Lego and Jack Mizrahi. If you saw Beyonce's movie or went to the concert, you know who he is. And then we're concluding all of that with, again, the March for Equity on the 15th. We'll have a ceremonial activation at the foot of the Lincoln Memorial. And then we're moving forward toward our future, toward Black Lives Matter Plaza, where at 2 p.m. we'll have a Live Nation produced concert experience that will include speakers like our sister Tanika Mallory, Reverend Al Sharpton, and others, but we'll also include entertainers that underscore the importance of us as we find community, not only because that can help us breathe, can help us strategize, but can also be a source of joy.
That's all for this month's roundup. Stay tuned for more positive stories, and remember, your actions make a difference.
That's awesome. Shout out to my main man, 50 grand, Dr. David Johns, and the March for Equity. If you are in the DC area or want to come in, there's a lot to look forward to. Check out nbjc.org. And just honoring some of the comments in the chat. Thank you so much for sharing. A lot of entrepreneurs. Michelle Harrison said loneliness feels like isolation as a working entrepreneur. She's a nurse and owns a stationery company, and that can lead to loneliness. Folks who have experienced loss in their families because of the pandemic. Folks who are, like Angela said, I tend to be introverted and focus on self-care and being intentional about not isolating. Dr. December Bolden said there's isolation even in the workplace as an African-American woman in the C-suite and more. And so thank you so much for sharing. We'll continue to highlight those. As I mentioned before, some other folks share with us. We did a research study through our research arm, Gauge, powered by GoFundMe, that asked Americans around the country sort of what's going on with loneliness right now and how do people find community. Let's watch what we found.
So in my current role right now, I work mostly remote, and it's really weird how I just don't feel as alive. But having that sense of community, even with like in a shared office space, or meeting a friend for a drink that was in town in another area of Manhattan, like I don't do that stuff anymore.
I feel like finding community or building community is really difficult nowadays because everyone's so busy. We're all out here trying to survive. Our kids are doing 100 activities, we're doing 100 things for work, and just finding time is really hard.
Oh, I love that. Thank you to GoFundMe, again, to Chantress Williams, to Rebecca O'Neill and the Gage team for putting that beautiful research together. There's some questions that came up in the chat, and I'm going to speak to Dr. Tama Bryant, who you're going to hear from a bit, because Denise Teal asked a question that I want to sort of speak to, which is, even when I'm busy, I still feel lonely. Is it in my mind, or where's that coming from? So we'll come back to that. But first, we're going to move into the first beat from a very special guest. But we're going to do that first by starting off with helping you all find a place of center and wellness, and maybe even community through a giveaway. We're going to give away a $250 gift card to someone who answers a trivia question live on the chat, and it's will be a gift card for any wellness practice of your choosing. That could be yoga, sound bath, spa, anything of that nature. And it's going to be the first person to put the answer to the following trivia question about our guest, India Arie, in the chat. And that question is, y'all ready? Get your fingers ready. It's going to be the first one. At which major global event did India perform her legendary song video in 2011? I'm waiting for the chat to update. Tamika, good guess. The Grammys, that's close. Bahamas, nope. Essence, all great guesses, but I haven't seen it yet. Oh, that's good. Essence, MTV, Grammys, New York, Oprah, BET, Grammys. She's gotten a lot of Grammys. Black Girls Rock, Grammys, Coachella, Global Citizens, Essence, Global Citizens. I haven't seen it yet. This is a good question. I love questions that are tough to get. Essence, Grammys, Essence, BET, Black Girls Rock, Grammys, NAACP, Brown Skin, Oscars, Africa, Oscars, BET, Tonys, Oscars. Do y'all see it yet? Somebody from the team, let me know if you see it, because I don't see the right answer yet. Star it when you see it for me, Taylor. Somebody's going to get it. She's been to all of these places, but this is not it. Oh, goodness. You're close. Do y'all see it yet, Taylor, Alex? Global Citizens, NAACP. Y'all know a lot about India Arie. You know, y'all been following her around the world, I see, because she's been in all of these. But Cricket World Cup, that's a good answer, but that's not it. VH1 Divas. There's one that's very, very close. We are going to give it to, we need a winner, UNCF. It's a very special one. She's been to all these places, but okay, I'm going to give it to we are going to give it to the closest first one who jumped in and said world peace. That's very close. It was the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony. So Naborle Sakafio, you have won that gift card. India performed it at the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony. So listen, that was a deep cut. That was a deep dive into India trivia. And India, they have mentioned every other place that you've been to, but that was one from 13 years ago. And I imagine it was a warm memory. Y'all, please join me in welcoming India Arie. She is a beacon of soul, of authenticity, of love in a world that doesn't have nearly enough of those things. She's a celebrated songwriter, but her artistry really transcends even beyond sound. She has 4 Grammys, over 10 million records sold worldwide. and has brought healing in so many spaces. Y'all know video, y'all know brown skin, you know the cultural anthems that we still sing every day. But beyond her musical achievement, she's an activist who has helped to shape conversations around the music industry, around race, around gender, and more. And we celebrate you today, India. You're welcomed and beloved, as you can see in the chat in this What's Good community. And we're so honored that you're joining us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So we'll pass it over to you.
How real do you want me to get, Joshua? How real do you want me to get?
You can get all the way real. Keep it real, India.
That trivia question was wrong.
Ooh, tell me, what did we mess up? Because that's not
what
the
Nobel Peace. I was thinking, I was like, where did I sing this? Because I did do the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes.
But at the Nobel Peace Prize, I sang a song called Gift of Acceptance.
Okay.
And then I sang Imagine with Herbie Hancock.
Really? That's Google got that all wrong, but that is wonderful. Thank you for letting us know. We will still be honoring our commitment to the first person to answer, but I'm so glad that we got the songs right now. And India, you're about to bless us. You've been doing some work in the meditation space, and I think your performance connects to that, doesn't it? I'll pass it over to you to take it from here.
Thank you. Yes, I've been meditating for 21 years. And it was after my first trip to the Grammys that I started to meditate. And meditation has saved me so many times when I thought I could not take one more step. We'd be on the road or on planes or international or whatever. And I literally would think I'm going to faint if somebody says one more thing. And I would take my 20 minutes and I would meditate and I would be okay. And it saved me so much all these years. And also, perhaps we'll get into this when I get into more of my questions that they're going to be asking me. But meditation in recent years is also how I found community. And so I have this opportunity to guide us through a quick meditation. I've named this meditation 7 Minutes of Sacred Space. We're going to be using this sound bowl. And I'll be guiding you. I also want to say the word balance. Meditation is how I have, over the years, been able to restore my balance. And so for all of us who are busy mothering and relationshiping and traveling and working, right now, just for this 7 minutes of sacred space, this is your permission to chill. I will watch the time. I will guide this. Just relax. So get yourself into a comfortable position. However you like to sit, just get into a comfortable position. This meditation is about the calming of the nervous system, or another way to say that is calming of the stress response. One of the things we do when we're stressed is we breathe up here, or we breathe, here, or we breathe out of our mouths. We're talking, we're stressed, breathing out of our mouths. The way to break this loop, because not only are we stressed when we do this, but we also stress ourselves when we do this. So a way to calm all of this stress response and break this loop is to drop the breath into the belly. So that's what we're going to do for this 7 minutes of sacred space. So I want to invite you to put one hand on your chest, the other hand on your belly, however you're comfortable with, whichever hand. And we're going to drop into our bellies. We're going to drop our breath out of here and drop into here. So the way you do that, also, we don't want to be breathing out of our mouth. That's a stress breathing. So we're going to breathe through our nose into our belly. So it goes like this. All this should be still. You breathe in through the nose, and as you breathe in, the belly gently rises like you're filling a balloon. And as you breathe out or release the breath, the belly gently lowers. That's simple. The belly gently rises as you breathe in. The belly gently lowers as you breathe out. Real simple. All of this, keep this still. I want to invite you to join me in this breath. As you breathe in through the nose, mouth gently closed, the belly gently rises. As you release the breath, the belly gently lowers. For this short moment of sacred space and relaxation, I want to invite you now to, you can either drop your arms or you can keep your hands there, but keep breathing into the belly. I want to invite you to close your eyes, and whatever you've been doing today, whatever you've been through today, drop all that. I will watch the time. Allow this sound to be your permission to relax. Feel free to close your eyes, straight spine, mouth gently closed. Breathing in through the nose, the belly gently rises. Breathing out through the nose, the belly gently lowers. Very simple. Bring your attention to your shoulders. Drop them. If they're already dropped, drop them again. Take your tongue off the roof of your mouth, relax your jaw. Continue breathing through the nose, the belly gently rises. Release the breath and the belly gently lowers. As you continue to breathe, breathing in through the nose, the belly gently rises. Breathing out through the nose, the belly gently lowers. Breathing in through the nose, the belly gently rises. As you breathe out, ask your body anywhere there is tension. And breathe out, just release the tension. If it's in your feet, your shoulders, your neck, in your face, behind your eyes, your scalp. When you breathe in, the belly gently rises. As you breathe out, give yourself permission to release any tension anywhere for continuous relaxation of the body. This is your body. You command your body. Breathe in through the nose and the belly gently rises. Release the breath. Anywhere you feel tension in the body, release that tension with that out breath. I feel one of the most powerful prayers we can pray is thank you. One of the most powerful things we can say is thank you. One of the most important ways to be is thankful. So I sing this chant in the name of gratitude and thankfulness and the prayer of thank you. Keep breathing. I'm watching the time. Thank you, Lord, for the blessing of this day. Thank you, Lord, for the blessing of this day. All the joy and all the hurt, all the contrast of this earth that lets us know that we are alive. Thank you for the blessing of this life. Thank you, Lord, for the blessing of this day. Thank you for the blessing of this day. All the joy and all the hurt, all the contrast of this earth that lets us know that we are alive. Thank you for the blessing of this life. As we end this 7 minutes of sacred space, don't just flip your eyes open, but slowly open them and look at the ground in front of you. And as you do that, take a deep breath, shake your body out, give a stretch, whatever you feel good doing. And then slowly raise your eyes and bring your attention back into your body. And as is the theme of this 7 minutes of sacred space, thank you for allowing me to hold it with you.
India. I feel like I just drank from some very deep waters, and it's filling me right now. And I can see that folks in the chat are feeling the same. Love to just be just want to continue to hold this moment in space and time, y'all. What we just experienced together was very special. Not just because India is special, although she is, but because in the busyness of a Thursday night on a May 30th, we don't often get to have a time like that. And a time where our shoulders can relax and our lungs can be filled with oxygen, and we can connect as human beings with one another and with India to be thankful. That is beautiful. That is beautiful.
Yeah, I could go in there for about 5 more minutes.
Oh goodness, you're about to get me in I'm about to start meditating again. I want to welcome Amanda Brown Learman, who is a central part of this gathering tonight, to join us for this next part of the conversation. She's a senior director for policy and engagement, and she leads GoFundMe.org, working closely with Margaret. Amanda, that was pretty amazing, huh?
I'm incredible. Thank you. Yeah. I needed that. I didn't even know that I needed that, India. So thank you.
Yeah.
Originally, I was just looking forward to this because it meant that I didn't have to do bedtime with my 3 children. And that was so much better.
Thank you, Lord, for the blessing of babysitters and for because that's the last time I will sing in front of India. India, as we remain in the spirit of peacefulness and thankfulness, but also reflecting on this topic, how is what we just experienced, meditation and just in general, how have you confronted loneliness in your own life and found community, maybe in the pandemic or just more generally? How has that looked for you?
That's a big loaded question.
Yeah.
Because I found the pandemic calming. By nature, I'm an introvert, and I'm very sensitive. You can tell just by the way I speak and move. And I found my career to be something that I loved and wanted and enjoyed, but the movement of it was something that was so hard for me. It was so far outside of my nature that when the pandemic hit, I was like, okay, like I can just stop. And it did get quiet and it did get lonely, but I found it a time that I could just lean into my nature. And so to answer your question about how I found community, it's not until 2020 and beyond that I started realizing that maybe I could find a quiet community. Like people think of the word community of like, we're loud and we're together and we're, tailgating or at a party or at a dinner with our friends and talk, or whatever those things are. And I used to daydream like, who likes to pray? I used to say, who likes to pray? Because I just always considered my prayer life a thing that I would do alone, but I would love to do with other people outside of the church, but like friends. And in recent years, especially the last 2 years, I will gather friends for this thing I've named Sound Church. And we just play with sound and we meditate in quiet togetherness. And it's some of my favorite times because I get to be myself with my friends. And I never considered that was possible until I had all that quiet time during COVID. And I also think that for me, the difference between isolation and quiet was a very touchy one.
Yeah.
And so by creating Sound Church, I learned to invite people into my quietness. And all my friends aren't quiet, but they enjoy coming into it with me because I'm a person who's able to hold that space. And the friends who come, they enjoy it with me. And they do their loud things other times. We do loud things other times. But Sound Church is a shared quiet space. And I've really enjoyed it and gotten a lot out of it. And it has allowed me to fully accept who and how I am.
Yeah.
So even being able to be with everybody here today and be able to like meditate with y'all,
Yeah.
like I get to be who and how I am and still be me. It's been important.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, we
Amanda,
love
any questions? Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
no, I'm just saying we love you for that. So thank you for sharing and for like being you in all of the most authentic ways. That's what makes it so special. I was gonna dig in on music specifically and like what happens at Sound Church if it is quiet. How do you curate or think about music building and being a part of community outside of maybe Sound Church?
Well, to answer your first question,
Yeah.
what happens at Sound Church, I have so during the pandemic, what I ended up doing is learning all about, not all, beginning to learn about sound healing. I always consider myself a sound healer. It's what I do with my music and my songwriting. That is always my intention, to heal people through music, to assist them in healing themselves through music. And sound healing, though, is a more intentional application of sound to the energy around the body. If you would have asked me before 2020, I would have thought, that's interesting. Anything about it. I didn't understand why people liked tones like this. I didn't know why people liked it. I didn't know why people liked crystal singing bowls. I didn't understand it at all. I wasn't against it. I just didn't know because I was busy playing my guitar and doing my own type of sound healing. And I started leaning into that and buying things and playing with things and joining online communities that would teach me things about the bowls and the sound and what energy centers sound, the philosophy around different notes for energy centers. I don't all the way ascribe to all that, but what I have learned is that sound doesn't need your permission. You use it and it just gives you a feeling. It makes you feel away.
Yeah.
It automatically makes you feel away.
Yeah.
And so the concept of sound not needing permission to work in your field is something that I started exploring. And so at Sound Church, we do a lot of that. Rain sticks and chimes, and I sing my chant. I have lots of chants now, like 50 of them, like lots of chants. And so we sing those.
How can we go to Sound Church with you, India?
I mean, that's a good question, because now, and that was the second answer to my question, to your question. I've been thinking since I'm ready to come back into the world, what it looks like to create a bigger, shared, quiet space. You know, I've seen online where people have like reading clubs where they meet outside and everybody's reading. And I'm like, how can we do that and really be together in a shared, quiet space, but not alone, not isolated, just quiet. And so I've been thinking a lot about how to scale it and how to present it, how to explain to people what it is so that they would be interested. And so that's the thing that I'm most interested in now, because not only do I love that shared quiet space, I also love my chants. And for have 50 of anything is huge for me. I don't write 50 songs. Like I write 10 or 12. To have 50 of these chants is something I'm looking forward to sharing in the right space at the right time. And so I don't know how you can join Sound Church just yet, but that is all I'm working on and all I'm interested in.
Okay, I'm accepting that challenge to help you figure that one out.
Yes.
I would love it so much.
More to come on that front. More to come there. Thank you, Amanda, for digging into that, because we're all about to be Sound Church members in a moment here. And India, in the meantime, and then we're going to let you go because I know you're going to come back for a final selection at the end of the call, and you all clearly you don't want to miss it. How can folks stay connected to you? Where can we find you and hear about what's coming next and the future iterations of your meditation exercise and more? How should folks stay in community with you?
All of my social media is India Arie. I'm mostly on Instagram. I answer my fans back. I answer my DMs. I post a lot of things there. There are songs up there. There is one chant up there called Born for This Mission. Some people call it Walk Through the Fire. Some people call it Born for This Mission. There's one up there. But, you know, all my stuff is at India Arie. And I just want to invite everybody here to go to my Instagram and listen to some of the performances, because during COVID, another thing I did was create like green screen performances and stuff. And so I think people know my name and they know kind of what I'm about. But I don't think a lot of people have yet to understand the deep spirituality of what I really have been doing all these years. And that's what I present a lot on my Instagram, and am ready to present more through Sound Church and my chants. And so you can connect with me there.
Wonderful. Well, we certainly will. I know. Thank you. Thank you, India. We'll see you in just a little bit. And Amanda and I are going to continue into conversation with some amazing people. I want to acknowledge we have some frontline workers who sought peace and centeredness in the middle of the pandemic, but also navigated some really, really tough stuff. And we want to honor that. Dr. Arabia Millette was telling us that she's a ER doctor and is dealing with chronic stress as a result of that. We have some folks who were nurses. I actually see my very own mom in the chat who works at Vanderbilt Medical Center and is, hey, Ma, Christy Sinkfield, that's my mom. And others who have worked in these settings, Angela Coley and more. And so we appreciate you. We know that that it has been a tough year, a few years on lots of different fronts. We just honor you. Listen, friends, we're going to now move into some conversations that really point to hope and healing in different ways and how we can break through loneliness and find community. And we have some absolutely amazing folks that Amanda and I are going to be speaking with now. Dr. Tama Bryant, the 2023 president of the American Psychological Association, is one of the most dynamic voices in the country and around the world on faith and mental health and healing. Professor at Pepperdine University, ordained leader in the AME Church, and author of Reclaim Yourself. So we're so excited to hear from Dr. Bryant. Wisdom Cole is the NAACP's National Director of Youth and College, and is doing tremendous work on the front lines of activism and connecting with youth around the country. Robin Sue Fisher is the founder of Smitten Ice Cream, and she's going to talk about a phenomenal campaign. I can't wait for Amanda to be in conversation with Robin about how she has leveraged fundraising to help folks find community. And then Ben Valenta is the SVP of Strategy and Analytics at Fox Sports, and he's got something special to share about how sports are helping us find community. And so we're going to go to our panel now. And Dr. Bryant, I'd love to start with you. Welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad you're having this conversation and incorporating mental health and faith.
Indeed. As we've seen in the chat and as we're talking about today, we're obviously a country of far too many lonely people. For folks who are feeling isolated and alone and are trying to find a way out of that, what's your message to them? How do you think we tackle loneliness?
Yes. So for those who are feeling lonely, the first thing I want to say is we want to remove the stigma and the shame that sometimes people feed to those who are lonely. Loneliness simply means that I desire deeper connections than I have right now. And that's a beautiful thing, to desire a deepening of your connections. Sometimes there is the myth that you wouldn't be lonely if you loved yourself. And that's simply not true. Self-love and community and connection are not the same thing. So yes, it is important that we tend to our hearts and our souls and our minds, but there is also such a gift and a blessing to being connected with others. The good news is that you are not in that state by yourself, that so many other people also are desiring community. Sometimes we feel like we're the only one, that everyone else is connected except for us. But recognizing that so many people are feeling lonely can give us the courage to, one, deepen the connections you already have. Sometimes we're so superficial and surface. So how are you? I'm fine. How are you? I'm blessed. And as soon as we encounter someone who is real, who gives an authentic answer, we get authentic as well. So there are people who you know who may be willing to go deeper in connection. And also you can come out of your circle. If the circle you're in is not nourishing, there are other people out there who are kindred spirits who will appreciate who you are and what you carry.
Oh, that's good. If the circle you're in is not nourishing, Amanda, my goodness. Yeah, go over to you, my friend.
I know. I'm taking it all in.
I know. A quick follow-up.
I know you also were speaking about the question in the chat about someone saying they were busy but still lonely.
Yes.
And I
Can you
think
speak to
that's
that, please?
an important point of recognizing busy is not the same thing as healed. Busy is not the
Mm,
same thing as whole. And we can trick ourselves and trick other people with a fancy resume. So we can list all the great accomplishments we have, but at the end of the day, when we are isolated and feel unseen and unheard, then we will still feel lonely. So the question is not, are you busy and booked, but what is the condition of your heart? And
mm,
there's a Zulu greeting, Sawubona, which means I see you. And we all
mm.
desire to be seen, to be heard, to be appreciated.
That's so true. And we a lot of us share that desire, and you began by talking about sort of the courage of just being vulnerable and saying, I desire a deeper connection. Margaret said that in the chat. It's an act of courage. And y'all, let's just come out and say it. We are all desiring deeper connections in our lives, and that's okay. And now once we've said that, we can move with intention. Man, I'm going to toss it over to
It's
you to
okay,
ask
and
the
it
question
makes
of our
the
next
world
guest.
better, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
all right, I'm coming for Wisdom next. Wisdom, I'm so excited to be chatting with you. You are an incredible activist, an advocate, a powerful voice for youth, for so many in our country. What's your own journey with loneliness, and how has the participation in activism, maybe even specifically with the NAACP, helped you find community?
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Amanda, and Joshua, so much for this opportunity, and just so much gems that are being dropped tonight. I'm sharing things that are also ministering to my life in this moment in time, and it's not even Sunday yet. But when I think about times where I felt deep loneliness, I think about 3 periods of time in my life. Before college, trying to figure out my voice, trying to understand, what I actually cared about in life, my purpose. As well as after college, going from a place of knowing myself, learning all these things, being a part of a community, but being thrown into the real world. And then during the pandemic, where we were trying to find meaning in everything that was going on, right? And in all those points in my life, there were meaningful moments in the Black student movement, right? Going into college, this was around the murder of Trayvon Martin, the murder of Michael Brown, so many young Black lives that were being taken too soon, and us asking the question of what are we going to do, and us demanding to the world that Black lives matter. And so part of that opportunity for me was to be a part of an organization, right? I joined the Black Student Union. I joined the NAACP, joined a statewide organization called the African Black Coalition. And through there, I was able to organize, build solidarity, build power, understand intersectionality, and really learn the language and tools to describe my experience as a Black man in America. Even after college, the summer of 2016, that was the murder of Alton Sterling, the murder of Philando Castile. And it was such a difficult period of time, because it's like, these are consistent points in my life that are defining who I am, defining our culture, defining our generation. What do we do about it? And so even after college, it was really about adopting different mindfulness practices and mantras and teachings that I could implore in my own life, right? I look to Assata Shakur, who says we have nothing to lose but our chains, right? When this work gets really difficult, it's hard to stay in it. It's hard to find solidarity. It's hard to find a reason to keep going. Activism can be very, very grueling, because there is a lot of failure that happens in your activism. But part of it is also being able to find the community of people who can support you. And so even thinking about 2020, right, the murder of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, again, another batch of lives that were taken too soon. Even with my own life, right, I was stuck at home, and somebody had spray painted in my driveway a Nazi swastika and a white power symbol, right? And feeling this sense of loneliness, not knowing what's going on. I took to online platforms where we were talking about this. We were taking virtual action. I remember Clubhouse was popping during those days, and I was on there every morning talking with people who I could talk with, or IG Lives, right? What I hope you can hear in my story is that even when you're faced with adversity, turning to communities, building solidarity, joining organizations, finding a mission, and moving forward.
I love that. So much wisdom from Wisdom. Do you have any recommendations for young people, as they're obviously doing so much online, so much digital activism as well, and how you balance that presence on social media with feeling alone or finding community offline?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was on this panel at Clark Atlanta, and we were talking about mental health. And somebody had a really great suggestion of making sure that you find your starting five, right? Who are the five people that you can turn to at any moment? Making sure that you have that support, people you can share your emotions, your feelings with, what's going on in your day to day. I also encourage folks to limit their social media, right? There is a lot of doom scrolling going on. And so it's important for you to get outside. I want folks to emphasize quality relationships over quantity, right? You know, we're in this world where we think that likes equates to everything, or the amount of followers you have equate to everything. But there is a real world out there. It's important to have quality relationships. Again, you know, join a club, a group, an organization. Find your tribe. Find the people who get you. There are people out there for you who care about the things you care about, who do the things the way you do it, and engage in the way you engage. And last but not least, you know, I really encourage folks to seek professional help, right? To make sure that if they're feeling lonely persistently, right, there are people they can talk to. There are counselors, there's therapists. You know, I grew up in a culture where oftentimes it was like, hey, we're not going to turn to professional help because that means you're crazy. But I think it's important for folks to understand that that's not what it means. You know, it's important to have regular checkups. It's important to check in with people. It's important to talk about your mental health because that's the way in which we grow.
I love that. I'm now thinking about who are my five? Who are my five? Margaret, I might assign you one of those slots. All right. Thank you, Wisdom. Robin, really excited to dig in with you. Robin and I have only talked on like late night phone calls before, so it's exciting to be on a video call with you. But you have this very exciting campaign getting started, which I don't even want to spoil, but the campaign has the most incredible name. So you should tell us about it, Robin.
Thank you. It's called Ice Cream Love. And it all started with a catalyst event that really got me thinking. So at the end of last year, one of my ice cream stores. So I am also a founder of an ice cream company that is called Smitten, and smitten means in love. And one of my stores, my flagship store in San Francisco, was the victim of a hate crime at the end of last year. And it threw me into the situation that was like a frenzy. And I've never felt so alone. Then in that moment, I was just like, you know, thrown into it and felt targeted and scared. And here I was like standing amidst the broken glass in an ice cream store named Love. And so I kind of was just like, looked inside myself and thought a lot about why I started an ice cream store literally named In Love. And just with the belief that we all have to take personal responsibility for the world that we want to create and the world that we want to live in, I decided I was going to stand up for love. And ice cream has this power of, you know, spanning geographies and belief systems and making people connect with their inner child and with each other. And I really felt like I was holding this like powerful symbol in my hand of ice cream, which is like probably the most humanizing food there is, if you think about it, right? And so amidst this frenzy where there was like a lot of sort of media attention trying to amplify the division and the divisiveness, I was just like, hell no, let's do the opposite. And so I wrote a letter to the community and posted it on my storefront. Like the biggest poster I could print and put it on, and was just like, I choose love now more than ever. And here's why, and here's what we're going to do about it. We're going to come together. And what I was not expecting from that was this like incredible web of humanity that emerged from all directions. And I literally went from feeling so alone to feeling so very like connected and unalone in this moment, because people just like came one-on-one, sending artwork, writing letters, like literally like, you know, sending $5 bills in the mail to the store to try to get it to open. And some friends started this GoFundMe. I didn't even start. And people just started donating to make sure the store could open. And so we could pay all our staff while we were trying to figure out what to do and trying to figure out if we could. And it was just this like amazing, amazing web. And yet, like, being blown away by the beauty of this, like there was the initial heartbreak, but then there was this massive heart opening of like, wow, there's like such a volume of goodness. And I was really troubled that what was being amplified was the division,
Yeah.
all around me. And I was like, we need to scream back. Like, there's so much good here, and there's so many people who want to choose love. And like, what if we just scream back?
Yeah.
And so that's where I Scream Love, the idea of that sort of was born. And since then it's become a much more like tangible thing. So I've created a consortium of ice cream makers around my city, which is San Francisco. And ice cream makers are amazing because we all are sort of like soft-hearted. So in all the different neighborhoods throughout the city, a dozen ice cream shop owners have come together to form this consortium, coming together across different backgrounds and competitive lines and standing together. And we're going to be hosting ice cream socials across the city to encourage people to connect one-on-one and have like this important human connection over ice cream, which is this like natural way of really feeling that humanity. And we've created, we're in the process of finalizing something that's called the Ice Cream Love Icebreaker Challenge, which is like thoughtful conversation starters that like peel back the layers and get people to just connect on sweet moments. And so the challenge is for people to go have ice cream with somebody. It's like the best challenge ever, and do this icebreaker chat, and then share your experience, and like make 3 of your friends do it too. And then if you're able to or willing to, or if you're not here to be part of it in person, then if you can donate to the campaign, and proceeds above the campaign cost will go to fund education that will help prevent and heal from hate, violence, and discrimination for our high school kids in the city.
I love it. I love it. Robin, we're going to make sure that the link goes in the chat. You already have people in the chat that are like, can I start that in this community too? So
yes.
Starting a movement.
Yes, that is the goal. And so as part of this, our website's under construction. It's icecreamlove.org, but we have the GoFundMe page up. And it's just search Ice Cream Love.
I'll put it in.
We will create a toolkit so that ice cream stores in any city can join the campaign and spread the love.
Love it.
Oh, I love that. You have some folks who desire to be an Ice Cream Love Smitten franchisee, by the way. So Robin will be able to connect you to in the chat. Listen, we're going to close out this section with an awesome voice from kind of a different perspective, and that is the power of sports. Ben Valenta, you are doing some tremendous research and work on a really interesting question about how sports bring people together. What's your theory here? What does sports fandom have to do with this topic of loneliness? And tell us about this notion of fans have more friends.
Yeah, so well, thanks for having me, and I'm really excited to share this with you because it really fits into the theme of the event and everything we've heard up to this point. My job is to understand sports and understand sports fans, and I've crisscrossed the country, and I've spent a lot of time talking to sports fans. And as I've done that, I think the thing that I learned is there was a constant theme of community that was underneath every sports fan's story. And it feels intuitively true when I share that insight with people, certainly around the company that I work at, but even just with fellow fans and other people in my community. They recognize that there is something about sports fandom that is communal. And at a certain point, I got tired of that being just an intuitive truth, and I wanted to actually test it. And I turned that into a more testable hypothesis. So if sports fandom is about community, then sports fans would enjoy the benefits of that, and they would have more friends. And we devised a way to be able to test people's social networks. And at this point, we've probably pulled a couple 100,000 people. And what we've been able to find is that if you are an engaged sports fan, you will have more friends. It's not just having more friends. You will actually interact with those people more frequently. You'll value those relationships more. And the same is true for familial relationships as well. So another way to say that is the bigger the fan you are, the more likely you are to have a positive relationship with your mother, your father, your siblings, etc. And so there's something going on with sports fandom that brings us together. And I think it is the fandom element. It's the thing that anchors those interactions. It creates space for those relationships. And it makes it easy for us to send that text message or invite that person over for a ball game, because there is this other thing happening that allows us and creates a space for us to connect. We kept pulling at threads on that. And it wasn't just that they have more friends and they interact with people more frequently and they value those relationships more. All that is true. We started then testing that against batteries of things like happiness or optimism or confidence or self-satisfaction. And of course, we picked things like loneliness and depression. And what we found is that there is a tangible benefit for, if you are an engaged sports fan, you have more friends, and then it stands to reason that you are then less lonely.
Ben, you have me shouting hallelujah for a different reason than we were shouting with India, but because this resonates with me so deeply. The end of a long day, putting the kids to bed. What am I texting my buddies about? We're texting about the NBA Finals. Did you see this? But it's a moment of connection where it's not just the people in my house. I love the people in my house, but it allows me to connect to a wider community, or the fellow dads and moms at my kids' soccer practice, or even my own dad. If we may, hopefully we have a lot to talk about, but if we in moments where we may not have a ton to talk about, we can talk about my Commanders, his Steelers, and it creates relationship in a pretty deep and powerful way. Fans have more friends, unless you're Cowboys fans, and you have more enemies. Just kidding. I'm sorry. It was a personal thing that I had to express out loud. Sorry about that. But Ben, one more question for you. What should folks do with this? Should people be seeking out opportunities to connect around sports? What do you think there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the beauty of this. There is a thing. So we have this epidemic of loneliness that's taking place in the country, right? And there's this thing that we already do. Tens of millions of people already do this thing that alleviates that epidemic of loneliness. Yeah. And so what I like to encourage people to do is just reframe how we think about this thing that we already do as having a positive social benefit. If you think of it as such, then it leads to a new set of actions. And so, as you described, there are layers to this social dynamics of sports here. So it can sort of facilitate interaction with me and my son, or me and my father. It can facilitate interaction with me and my neighbors, me and my colleagues. It can also just be a stranger on the street. And all of those things have value. All of those things impact our feeling and sense of community. They physiologically release oxytocin in our system. They make us happier. And so my message to the people here is lean into those things. Every time you think of someone to send that text to about the game, send it. Just do it. It's easy. It's not weird to get that message about, like, did you see that play? It might be weird to send a message like, hey, how you doing on a Tuesday night randomly? But did you see that dunk? Or can you believe that play? It goes over really well. So it's just send that thing. If you see someone walking down the street wearing a Commanders hat, say, go Commanders, right? Yeah. It's really easy. It costs nothing, and it will improve the quality of both of your days. And if we all take those opportunities and we see them as opportunities and we take advantage of them, then the world is that much better of a place.
Oh, I love that. I may disagree with that person with the Commander's hat on so many other things, but because we share the same team, we can create a point of connection in that moment that's going to bless her or him as they go back to their house, and it's going to bless me and make my day a little bit better. That's a powerful notion, Ben. We normally wouldn't bring like the sports into this sort of a conversation around mental health and loneliness, but I love that you've elevated that. Before we leave this conversation, Dr. Tame, I want to just come back to you for just a closing thought, and anyone else who wants to share a closing thought as well. How do mental health and faith, either separately or together, how can mental health resources and our faith traditions be a solve to loneliness as well?
Yeah, so it's important as it relates to mental health to know that depression and anxiety can be liars. And so they will tell you that no one wants to connect with you. They will tell you that you're perpetually misunderstood. They will tell you that it's better for you to avoid community. And so you want to just remember that truth sets us free, and ask yourself, is that truth speaking, or is that my depression speaking? Is that truth speaking, or is that my social anxiety speaking? And so, as Wisdom shared, I want to encourage people to consider reaching out for therapy so they can work through the various issues that may be a barrier or a block to you having community, and also finding community around your mental health. Someone put NAMI in the chat. the National Alliance on Mental Illness. There are other groups as well that offer support groups in your community. And as it relates to faith, people often talk about not only what are your beliefs, but are you a member of a community where you are growing and being nourished? So that may be being active with the choir, with a dance ministry, through volunteerism. And so considering ways to deepen your belief through community and through service, knowing in a sacred way, each of us is worthy.
Wow. Each of us is indeed worthy. Please connect into some of those resources and spaces that Dr. Tama described. Can you all join me in thanking these amazing panelists, Dr. Tama Bryant, Wisdom Cole, Robin Sue Fisher, and Ben Valenta, and Amanda? Amazing job moderating these brilliant people as well. Thank you. That was awesome. Please follow them, connect in, and stay connected to their tremendous work, to their campaigns. And everyone who registered for this call will receive links to all of their IG pages and GoFundMes and other resources. We want to move to, as we're going to come around the corner to the close of our call, but I want you to watch a video that contains some really important information and resources that you're going to be able to use moving forward on this issue of community and loneliness.
70% of adults have experienced some type of traumatic event. 54% of U.S. families have been affected by some sort of disaster. Recently, the Surgeon General reported that loneliness and isolation represent profound threats to our health and well-being.
And you know these aren't just statistics. These are people who you know, who you've loved, who you've met, and it very well may be you.
Mental health is complex, but helping doesn't have to be. We can care with community. When it comes to community mental health, we all have a role to play, and your presence is so important. Our research shows that small actions have a big impact on those who are struggling.
15 years of research, in fact, that we've been conducting all over the world. And we've spent 5 years field testing it to make sure that it works before we've offered it to you.
We're giving away a free How to Care Better field guide that is rooted in 15 years of research and 5 years of field testing. This short guide will help you care better for those that need it today.
It makes it possible for you to step in to help someone who faces everyday stress, all the way to someone who's faced significant trauma.
Being there for one another is the glue of a thriving community. Get your free guide to learn simple, practical ways to start making a better difference today.
Amazing, amazing. And to tell you more about this, I'm going to introduce first Jonica Armstrong, our amazing Vice President for Client and Community Impact that values partnerships and a real power and engine behind this town hall today. She's usually behind the scenes, but I said, Jonica, you got to come on camera, and she's going to introduce our guest. Jonica, over to you.
Thank you, Joshua. He called me Joper earlier, so I had to accept the challenge. But hey, what's good, family? Super excited to see you all tonight. Wow, what a great preview for a great discussion that we're going to have with our next special guest. So what's good, family? Please allow me to introduce the co-founders of The Better Samaritan, Kent Annan and Jamie Aiden. Let's give them a little clap, a little spirit fingers. Hey, gentlemen, how you doing?
Great. So good to be with you and with everyone, Jonica.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. So for those who are not aware, please tell us about the Better Samaritan, which is also known as spiritual first aid.
Right. Well, it's really a way that we've taken, as mentioned in the video, all this research and work all over the world into the question of how do we have these conversations we've been talking about tonight? How do we care for each other in these conversations as sports fans, over ice cream, in your faith community, or as you interact through a GoFundMe campaign? And our research shows that small actions make a big difference. And so this work we've done with the Better Samaritan and Spiritual First Aid, we've we were in Ukraine 6 months after the war. We've responded to mass shootings in Chicago, but we've also applied all this so that wherever you are in your community, with your colleagues, with your friends, we can show you simple actions to just become a better caregiver as you care for others. And as we care for others in these better ways, add simple things to how we care for others, it can reduce loneliness, build more resilient communities. As we understand, for example, people's needs are generally in 5 categories of biological, sort of physical needs, livelihood needs, emotional needs, social needs, and spiritual needs. And spiritual needs being everything from faith communities to just asking questions about life's meaning. And if we understand those needs that often contribute to loneliness and mental health issues, we can help people move forward. So the spiritual first aid and what we're offering through the Better Samaritan with great support from GoFundMe and Values Partnerships are how do you keep getting better as a caregiver to help build community and address loneliness?
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Kent. Super inspiring, right? You have taken research and really made something that's very actionable, and it's creating some really impactful work. So I'd love to just talk a little bit more about your take on something, but this town hall, it makes me think about my own personal passion for community service, right? And how it led me to a career in leading corporate philanthropy initiatives, but also a way to immerse myself in my respective community. So, Jamie, I'd like to start with you. What's your take on this particular question? How do you feel service to others can help people find community?
Well, through our research, one of the things that we've found time and time again has been that when we care for others, that it helps them feel a deeper sense of connection, feel a better sense of community, has positive mental health outcomes, leads to better physical health and even spiritual well-being. And at the same time, when we're providing care to others, not only does it help the other person, it also helps us, that we experience similar positive benefits. And I've seen this not only from the research that we've done around the globe, around disasters and mass traumas and everyday experiences, but I've also seen this firsthand as a Hurricane Katrina survivor, as well as a late stage cancer survivor. But tonight I want to share just one story, actually about a time I experienced deep community when I was actually in junior high. So in 8th grade, my grandmother had passed away. And the night before her funeral, we had a visitation. That night, before anybody else showed up, one of my best friends came to the visitation. He walks up to me, turns, looks me in the eye, just nods, and he stands by my side. The rest of the night, there's adults that come in one by one, sharing just great words of wisdom and words of comfort. But one by one, they all eventually left, except for my friend. Still by my side, once everybody else was gone, he was still there, standing next to me. I'll never forget when he turned, looked me in the eye, nods again, and without saying a word, that entire evening, walks away. I experienced a deep sense of community from my friend, from that presence that he showed me. And decades later, I don't remember anything else those adults said, but I do remember him being there with me. And it taught me that community comes from being present and that our presence says more than any words that we could ever say.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Jamie. That's also a testament to just a simple gesture can be so meaningful, right? So powerful and obviously long lasting within your brain. So thank you for sharing that. Kent, is there anything that you would add to that? Again, what ways can people find community through service?
Yes, I think what we've found is service is such a great way to connect, and it's driven our life's work as well. And then that's why we created this How to Care Better resources. If we can be in service, but then the people you're working next to or the people you're helping, if you just add some simple knowledge that we've learned, some research, then you can go a little bit deeper, have that conversation go a little bit deeper. And then you're helping, but then you're also having the confidence to help better or know when to step into a conversation or ask someone if they're lonely or ask if they're feeling distressed and know what's beyond your capacity, as others have mentioned on here, when and how to refer them to the next step of counseling or something. So you also know what you don't do. So you can be humble, you can step in with more confidence, but also know your limits. And I think that really helps us to get a lot of meaning and build community as we do work in our communities with each other.
Yes, thank you. And so let's talk a little bit more about that resource. So again, it's referenced a little bit in the video. You just gave some nods to it just now. What is this resource that we're going to share with everyone on the call afterwards? Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, the resource that we're going to be sharing is called How to Care Better, powered by GoFundMe and Value Partnerships. We'll be sharing that with everyone soon. And it's just a simple guide of these small actions that you can take that research shows makes a big difference. And everybody who's struggling with everything from mild stress to loneliness, all the way to mass traumas.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to digging into it. Of course, I got a little preview, but it definitely seems like something that's easy to read and a really impactful resource for everyone. So, as we kind of move to a close, gentlemen, one last question. How can people stay connected to your organization and learn more?
So to be able to stay connected with us, one of the best places to visit is fightthementalhealthcrisis.com. There you'll be able to find some additional resources and be able to stay in touch with us, but also be sure to keep that eye out for that free resources coming your way from Values Partnerships to be able to put into action in your own community right away.
Awesome. Super excited. Kent, Jamie, thank you for going along this ride with us. We're super grateful for these tools that you all are bringing to the world, and we thank you for being here.
Thanks, Jenica. Great being with everybody. So grateful for how everybody wants to care and keep getting better at caring for each other and building better communities.
Love that. Awesome. All right, my fearless leader, Joshua, I'm turning it back to you.
Just trying to be like you, Jonica. It's a great job, and thank you, Kent and Jamie. You all are amazing. And Jamie, I was celebrating when you said late stage cancer survivor too. That's awesome, and we're congratulating you on that health and wellness journey. We are wrapping up right now, but we cannot wrap up without hearing from the person who brought us in and brought so many of you to the call today. India, please welcome back. We are so delighted to have you close us out in whatever way you desire with your music. Thank you, my friend, and over to you.
Thank you. Dr. Tama said one of my favorite words, which is worthy. So I want to close with that. Feel free to relax in your chair. Take some breaths. If you remember the diaphragm breathing, go there. Just chill. I know exactly what you're thinking. I've had those thoughts a million times. I can see the question that's behind your eyes, or you're searching for your peace of mind. Now listen up to this truth. You are me and I am you. Every one of us is worthy. Baby girl, worthy woman, every one of us is worthy. I know your life, I felt your pain. I know your joys and your shames. Sometimes it feels like life walks over you, or like you're a penny on the ground. But either on the ground or in your purse, the smallest piece still holds its worth. Every one of us is worthy. Baby girl, worthy woman, every one of us is worthy. Worthy of love, worthy of life, worthy of saying no when something don't feel right. This is my song for you, for all ups and downs that life will put us through. Oh, so listen up to this truth. You are me and I am you. Every one of us is worthy. Yeah. Baby girl, worthy woman. Every one of us is worthy. Baby girl, worthy woman, every one of us is worthy.
I didn't think I could go up any higher, but praise God. You brought us to India. Thank you so much. You have blessed us so much tonight. You have reminded us that we are worthy, and we appreciate you. Thank you. Can y'all join me in thanking India in the chat too? Bless you, my friend.
My
Yeah.
honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
My goodness, y'all. I don't know about you, but I feel like I have been blessed with just a special gift in this call, a gift of inspiration, of information, of resources, and of connection with one another, of breathing deeply, of thankfulness, of just so much. And so we're so grateful that you all have joined us. We're at the very end of the call, right before we say goodbye. I'm going to do one final giveaway, and we'll do a bit of trivia at the end. Do want to offer some thanks. There are lots of folks who spent so much time and effort pulling this call together, including our friends at GoFundMe. Again, Margaret, who we'll hear from in a moment, Amanda and Jessica and the whole team there. So appreciate both India and Mitchell O'Neill Mitchell, who came together to make it such a special experience, along with Taylor Mason and Alex Blanc and Samantha Williams and Chris Digg and Jonica Armstrong and Warsan Helene and our values team. So just so grateful for everyone. Margaret, what a gift this night was. Thank you for bringing us together. Any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
I mean, whoa, that was just extraordinary. Thank you so much, Joshua. Thank you, India. Thank you, everyone, all of our panelists. I'm leaving remembering that the desire for the deeper connection is what loneliness is, and we should be proud of that desire.
Yeah.
And also the ability for us to do that and to remind each other, I see you, I am with you. And then India's words, I am me and you are me and I am you. I mean, everything so powerful. Thank you all for these opportunities, and let's keep it going.
Yeah. It feels like the first of something special, the first of if not many, at least of a movement here, Margaret. And so we're going to keep tapping into that. And something you said is just really interesting, and it's something that I know you're emphasizing what Dr. Tama said. Loneliness might not be loneliness. It might be a desire for connection. And it's fine to use the word loneliness if that's the best word that we have, but it's really just a urge of the heart to connect with other people. And so there's no stigma around that. There's no shame around that. So let's do that work of connecting. So thank you all again. Thanks to all the town hall guests. We're going to close out with one final trivia just to leave it on a fun note. I am not going to listen to ChatGPT this time. I'm just going to do something that I know to be true. And so this is our final trivia question. The first person who answers it in the chat will be awarded a $250 gift card towards a wellness practice. And the question is, how many Grammys has India Arie won? We are looking. Ashley D came out with it very quickly. Hold on, let me look. Oh, because Lauren Williams was the no. Hold on. Ashley D was the very, very first. A lot of people got it right. She has won 4 Grammys. She's been nominated 23 times. Y'all, we had a Grammy Award-winning artist on the line with us, taking us on up higher. What a blessing! And Ashley, our team will be following up with you to award this special gift. Look out for the resources coming that will be emailed from Spiritual First Aid. Look out for a feedback survey. Would you mind just taking a quick survey? Can we show the QR code? Let us know how tonight was for you, things that you love, things that you wanted to be better. Apparently, I need to wipe my camera a little bit more, so sorry about the streakiness of my camera. But we're going to be coming back together on next month's What's Good to have some more good times together. Bless you all. Thank you so much. Thank you, India. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to GoFundMe, and thank you to the team. And thanks to all of you for joining us. Bless you and have a wonderful night.
What's good? 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 Good, good.